Alright, I think I can see where this one's going. I'm pretty sure Beatrice is gonna die.
What?
Alright, bro. Lieutenant Yamamoto. The Italians do not want us to tell the mainland about this gold. Oh, hello. Do you want to be Lieutenant Yamamoto? There we go.
So, they don't want our country to snatch it away from them.
Why do you sound like you're behind a mask, sir?
It's unclear. It's an ongoing gag from last episode.
Oh, fair enough. Gotta have that continuity. Heaven forbid we should give a character without a portrait a different voice next time they show up.
What did he say?
He's saying your group probably doesn't want it reported because you fear that Japan will steer it away from you.
Lieutenant Angelo is actually more afraid of Italy itself finding out. To us, our homeland's current government is a mere puppet set up by the Allied forces. If they find out, the gold will be returned to them. However, that would be the same as handing the gold over to our enemies.
They'd come all this way to make sure that the gold didn't fall into enemy hands. They needed to hide it from that puppet government until their homeland could be truly restored.
Oshiromiya, make a proposal to the Italians. Tell them that we wish to offer our assistance.
What sort of assistance?
Let's see if I've got this straight. They want that gold kept secret so their homeland doesn't find out about it. But they'll need to find at least a transport ship if they plan to carry it off this island. If they try that, though, the mainland will hear about it, which means the Italian government will too.
Well, that's right. In other words, there's no longer any way to take that gold off of Rokkenjima. Their mission must have been to hide the gold in absolute secrecy until the day of their homeland's restoration. Later on, several plausible rumors would circulate about how Nazi Germany also moved much of its secret wealth to hidden areas in South America just prior to its collapse, which was a very natural conclusion to reach. That submarine was their only method of transporting the gold in secrecy, and it became completely useless. They can't fully stop the water from seeping in, and it'll probably sink completely before much longer. There's no longer any way for them to transport the gold in secrecy. In other words, the mission has ended in failure here in the Far East. So just how is Lieutenant Yamamoto proposing that we assist them?
The Rokkenjima base is top secret and no one knows about it. The islanders in the surrounding area think this island's ill-omened and deserted, so they never come near it. Catch my drift, Ushiromiya?
What did he say?
As we told you earlier, no one knows about this base, and as you can see, it's of no use strategically, so the higher-ups have already forgotten about it. It sounds like Lieutenant Yamamoto is suggesting that you hide the gold on this island. Beatrice quickly translated this and told Lieutenant Angelo. He began discussing something rapidly with his subordinates. They didn't look happy. Japan may have been their ally, but they probably didn't want to leave the gold for reconstructing their motherland in Asian hands. Still, it was hard to imagine any other option for them.
It's a fierce debate. Some say that there's no other option, while others think we should remain loyal to our homeland no matter the cost. Lieutenant Angelo is stuck between a rock and a hard place.
The final order given to them by their fallen homeland was to hide the gold. By now, however, there was no way for that order to be carried out successfully. If the mainland or their own homeland found out, the gold would probably be confiscated by the wrong people from their point of view. If they really wanted to carry out their homeland's orders faithfully, Lieutenant Yamamoto's proposal was extremely reasonable. Though he couldn't understand their words, he seemed to realize how divided they were.
If we help out, we'll be able to hide the gold in total secrecy. Fortunately, there's an abandoned tunnel that stretches all the way across this island.
He's saying that if you hide the gold underground and bury it on this island, no one will be able to find it.
Our side is saying that it sounds like a realistic proposal. However, there seems to be some resistance to accepting Japanese help.
It seems they are having difficulty coming to a decision.
Do you really have a choice, Italians? You don't think you can hide that gold without our help, do you? And I doubt you want to leave it lying around on the beach for much longer.
Lieutenant Angelo wants to minimize the number of people who know about the gold. He doesn't trust the Japanese, but It looks like he's decided that Lieutenant Yamamoto's plan is the best possible option.
Well, alright, if he wants to minimize the number of people who know about it, how about we take each have half of our crews that we like the least and just toss them in the ocean?
But
That sound fair?
he seems suspicious.
About what?
He's wondering whether they really intend to move a full 10 tons of gold and swear themselves to secrecy without any sort of compensation.
50%.
Sir, you can't be.
And over half of the gold to us. With that as our work wages, we'll hide the other half nice and safe for them.
Ugh. He's telling you to give us half of it. The instant Beatrice translated that sentence, Lieutenant Angelo slammed his hands on the desk and then stood up. Instead of flinching, Lieutenant Yamamoto, true to his boasts of once being a thug who everyone boasts, not boats. Oh my god, I can't read. True to his boasts of once being a thug who everyone feared, actually looked even more relaxed and confident than he had previously.
After all, they really don't have the option of refusing. We could demand 80% if we wanted.
Oh, that's pretty relatable.
It sure is. I've lowered that to 50% as a sign of good faith. Of course, we aren't the only ones with leverage here. If the Italians decide to leak this to the outside, all the gold will probably be taken by Japan or Italy. We won't get even a single yen out of it. This can only work if we're both partners in crime here.
He's saying we should all be partners in crime of embezzlement. By now he's already moved on to speaking as an individual, not as a soldier.
I don't believe it. So the gold has blinded him.
Funny how that happens. Lieutenant Yamamoto was grinning. It really did look as though he had been blinded by greed, just as Beatrice had said.
If they leave it just piled up where it is, you can be sure that it'll be noticed when the boat comes for them from the mainland. If that happens, none of us will profit. They ought to accept our proposal and hide the gold as soon as possible.
It sounds like Lieutenant Angelo is dead set on the Japanese and Italian governments not finding out about this. He wants to carry out his duty until the end.
Oh, so what exactly does that mean?
He wants the gold buried deep within the island, even if he has to pay some percentage to buy your silence. Of course, some of his subordinates object strongly. They're saying that 50% is out of the question.
Oh, Shiromia, how are they doing?
They also don't want any more people laying eyes on the gold. However, they seem to object to the portions.
Lieutenant Angelo says they'll consider 10%, though he's also saying he's fairly sure Lieutenant Yamamoto won't accept that.
Oh, Shiromia, what's the Italians' answer?
They say they'll consider 10%. This time it was Lieutenant Yamamoto who slammed down on the desk, but the Italians didn't flinch either. An incredible tension filled the small room. However, despite his violent outburst a second ago, Lieutenant Yamamoto's expression still looked smug and in control. He was probably confident that he now had the initiative.
10%. Now there's a modest proposal.
Phrasing, sir. That's... You have no way of knowing this, but phrasing.
Okay, sure. I'll give up 10%. We'll split it 40-60.
That's not 10%.
What?
Because he went down from 80% to 60% on their half, right?
What?
He said he's instead of 10%, he's saying I'll give up 10%.
Yeah, from 50-50 to 40-60.
Oh, I see what he's getting. I got it.
Tell them I won't go any lower than that.
40% for the Japanese, 60% for the Italians. The lieutenant was talking tough, but in truth these negotiations weren't being made on equal footing. If the Italians just wanted the gold for themselves, there wouldn't be much of a problem. But what if they were true patriots, and decided to return the gold for the purpose of reconstruction, even to the defeated puppet government of their homeland? If so, they would probably report the existence of the gold to the Italian embassy. Eventually, the Italian government would petition the Allied nations for the retrieval of their gold. It probably wouldn't make it all the way back to Italy, but it might be used effectively to repair and rebuild their battered towns. If that happened, Lieutenant Yamamoto and his friends would only be able to sneak out a few ingots at most. He was greedily planning to make his own treasure island, so that he and his subordinates could have enormous fortune all to themselves. And then, hopefully no one Monte Cristos this shit. That would be terrible. If he wanted to succeed, the Italians would have to keep the presence of the gold quiet. But there is one thing I still don't get. Lieutenant Angelo doesn't want to let anyone have the gold. He could have just let the submarine sink. Why did he have it unloaded?
I'd rather not think about it, but Lieutenant Angelo might have started planning to embezzle the gold as soon as he realized that their mission would be impossible to complete. Right now, he's asking his subordinates for their opinions, both as soldiers and as individuals with families waiting for them back home. The more straight-laced soldiers are furious.
I wonder if this is how the gold eventually made its way into, or part of the wealth made its way into, like, sealed bank accounts. If that's like a remnant of them dividing it up amongst like the 40-some-odd people currently on the island.
What type of money was in the bank accounts?
Right, that's right. We don't know like how in what form it existed, right? It was just bills at that point, I think.
Yeah, and
'Cause
how
that's
would
what Angie
how would
found, right?
how would it all be under one person's
Because someone's gonna have to take
thing
control.
at that time?
Someone's gonna have to take control of it at some point. I wonder if the reason it ended up in those accounts wasn't to distribute it to the survivors of Rokkenjima, but to distribute it to the families of the people here. I know I'm getting ahead of myself. I know we're getting the answers right now. It's just a thought about how that might tie in.
My question being still then, why would it all be accessible to Kinzo then if it was for
Because
many
there had to be
people?
one person in charge of setting it all up, presumably, and presumably that person's going to wind up being Kinzo.
Did there have to be one person in charge of setting it up?
I guess not, but like
It
you
would
would want to
seem-
have a point person.
It would seem to me that if a bunch of people were highly distrusting each other and trying to distribute gold amongst themselves for their families, they'd very much not want one person to be organizing it.
Maybe so. Well, let's see how it plays out then. Oh, did I read that last line?
Discussion
remember.
between the Italians was becoming fierce and emotional. That their homeland had fallen, they had all come this way. They come all this way in accordance with its orders. They had probably given this mission because they were particularly faithful and duty-minded troops. It seems they couldn't just agree to a foreigner's proposal to embezzle and split up the gold. Lieutenant Angelo looked like he was doing all he could to calm the unexpectedly fervent rage of his subordinates. Looks like the gold is blinding them, too. Everyone's mixing up their true feelings with how they want to be seen, and they can't make up their minds.
How's their answer coming? Ushiromi.
Bice, Lieutenant Yamamoto's asking for an answer.
They're saying they want some time to think. I had you to talk to, so I was able to distract myself from our current situation, but that wasn't true for the rest of them. They lost a lot of comrades at the end of a very long journey, and now they're here and in a tight spot. They've even lost their mission, the one thing they could depend on to guide them. They don't know what to do.
Sir, they say they'd like some time.
Sure, let them talk it over all they want, but they'd better not take too long. If we're gonna hide the gold, that'll take time and effort. Make your decision before noon tomorrow. That's all, Italians.
He's giving you until noon tomorrow. That bastard, he's practically threatening you.
Lieutenant Angelo says he'll ask for everyone's thoughts on the matter.
Which way do you think they'll go?
It'll probably be tough going. It seems Lieutenant Angelo is willing to consider splitting it, but his subordinates and the others will probably oppose that. All of them have lost close friends on their voyage to the Far East. They're firm in their desire to do their duty for our homeland.
Well, will they refuse Lieutenant Yamamoto's proposal?
Even if they do, the gold will just fall into someone else's hands. If nothing is going to be left anyway, Lieutenant Angelo suggests that they each sneak at least one ingot back with them, and some of the others seem to agree, but men always get carried away at times like this. Even I can't guess what they'll do. I imagine the Italians had some complicated feelings about all this.
Well, their eyes, the Italy that surrendered was probably little better than an enemy country. Letting the gold go back there would make their entire voyage meaningless. It's the, sunk cost fallacy.
Haha!
Get it? Because
I
the gold
do.
was within the submarine that was sinking. And
That was actually a pretty good one.
Oh, thank you. Fist bump, bro. Boom. Oh, you get better, Leon. You and I, kid, we're gonna go places. Specifically, further into this parlor to continue this conversation.
However, embezzling and divvying up the gold would also make their whole voyage meaningless.
The country they left felt... Fuck me, man. The country they felt obligated to serve had already fallen. That alone destroyed the significance of their journey. Not a happy story for them.
If it's bound to be meaningless anyway, wouldn't keeping hold of even just a few ingots be better than nothing?
Sure, if you want to calculate straight up profit and loss. But men aren't like that. The Italians were gathered in a cramped room, arguing fiercely.
And how do you define remaining true? By hiding the gold on this island? By accepting the proposal of those Asians?
You can't trust them. Especially when they get creative person. Maybe it's a little game there.
Unloading the gold and letting the Japanese see it was a huge mistake. We should have let it sink with the sub.
I want to idea. Let's just think it right inside the Japanese doors. Would have been pulled up eventually. They wouldn't hide anything.
It doesn't matter. There's no way to get the gold off this island without anyone knowing.
If we had just taken the honorable tours and scuttled the sub, but none of this would have happened.
If we had known that the sub would be broken beyond repair.
Why did the Lieutenant Commander contact the Japanese military and ask for help? How was he planning to carry out our mission if they found out about the gold?
Our mission was a failure from the moment he asked them for help.
All of us have families waiting for us back home. And we've done more than our part, I'd say, voyaging all the way to this country in the Far East. You might call this fair just payment for our services.
Chatter, 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 chatter.
I like a meatball. Oh. Is that how you do the... I'm told by Twitter that's how you do an Italian accent.
I think...
Lieutenant Angelo, if the Japanese prove to be less than amicable, we need to be prepared to take extreme measures.
And what do you mean by extreme measures, Corporal?
This is Angelo, though.
We haven't given Angelo a voice, and now this is his voice.
I thought we did, and it was the...
Muffled voice.
No, that's Lieutenant Yamamoto.
Oh, you're right. Someone gulped. A stiff tension hold over the room. Wait, no. Kinzo's narrating, right? Forgot that. Oh, well.
Japanese here are pushovers. They're all cowards with no battle experience.
And we are the elite. We know the layout of almost the entire base, along with the number of Japanese troops and how they're arranged. If Lieutenant Angelo, whose voice I'm speaking in, gives the order, we should be able to subdue them quickly.
Wow! Only a few of them, Yamamoto included, look like fighters. The rest are just laborers attached to the military. May look like they have the advantage of numbers, but we have the greater military force.
If we kill the Japanese, what exactly are we going to say when the boat comes to pick us up? You really think that'll work?
There should be plenty of ways to work it as long as the corpses aren't found.
Lieutenant Angelo, it'll be easy to subdue this base. If we kill Yamamoto and the few strong fighters, the laborers will probably surrender easily.
Let's have them carry the gold and bury it. Of course, we'll have to silence them afterwards.
Are you suggesting we massacre all of them?
Let's do it. If we kill them all, no one will know about the gold.
At that moment, the supposedly locked door opened slightly, and a metal object was thrown in.
Granada!
As the yell rang out, the table was kicked over to be used as a shield, and they all dropped to the floor. However, in this cramped room, it probably wouldn't do them any good. The Italians were all prepared for death.
Huh?
A dud! It's a dud! Fortunately, the shoddy grenade was a dud. The door was slammed open, and 3 Japanese soldiers wielding pistols jumped in.
Damn it, it's a dud. Kill the Italians. Kill the Italians.
Return fire! Fire, Will!
Whoa, I'm not in this story, Bob. In this small room, no matter who shot where, it was bound to hit someone. The exchange of bullets instantly caused a rain of blood with casualties on both sides. The 3 who had jumped in were covered with bullet holes and fell over, moaning and thrashing.
Gino! Damn, they got his lung. We can't save him.
We should consider ourselves lucky. If that grenade had gone off, we'd all be dead.
grenade was still rolling about on the floor. It had been a surprise attack. Lieutenant Yamamoto had probably judged that negotiations wouldn't go his way and had decided to make the first move. Or maybe he'd been planning from the beginning to put them in a position where they'd be gathered in one place to discuss his offer. Rokkenjima was their island. If they killed all the Italians, then not half but all of the gold would go to the Japanese. There was a chance that the grenade might go up late. The Italians rushed out into the corridor. They heard gunfire from down the hallway. It was coming from the direction of the submarine dock. Clearly the troops guarding the pile of gold were being attacked.
Lieutenant Angelo, what are your orders?
We have no choice. Kill the Japanese.
Well, this went all Tarantino real fast, didn't it? Oh wait, you won't get that reference, will you?
Yeah, that one hasn't been invented yet.
Oh, thank God, dude.
Lieutenant, these guys are good. Those Italians aren't your ordinary sailors.
I see. They needed men good enough to guard that gold, after all. We have the numbers. Keep your cool, surround them, and kill them. Let's hunt some Italians.
Hey, look, there's the one tunnel picture that we get all the time.
Yep.
I never actually registered it as like a bridge over water.
Me neither.
I just thought it was like a lit path through a tunnel. Huh.
As soon as I heard the sound of repeated gunfire, I knew that something which had been smoldering since the time when gold was unloaded had finally burst. The eyes of our soldiers looking at that gold hadn't been normal. Yes, those eyes had been entranced by demons.
Those eyes, whose are they?
Those eyes, whose are they? There's no way to know. The Italians had been pushed to the limits by the heavy burden they bore. Who wouldn't have snapped after being trapped in a distant land where you can't understand the language or the writing? Thinking I had to do something, I ran towards the sound of gunfire. Looking back on it, that was an extremely stupid thing to do. That sound meant that there were people shooting at each other. People killing each other. And yet, unarmed as I was, I dashed toward the sound as though I was trying to mediate some schoolyard fight. It didn't take long before I learned how foolish and naive that was in the heat of battle.
Kinzo learns that the sound of gunfire means there are people shooting.
Whoa!
What's next?
The
Will
gunman
people
class
die
is really
when they
made
are
up
killed?
of gunmen.
I'm glad we're on the same page here.
Hiroka! Warrant Officer Hiroka was lying face down, his entire body drenched in blood. Judging by the trail of blood behind him, it was clear that he had somehow managed to crawl here from a different room before dying. Though he was still twitching, might not be dead yet. But on this island without a doctor, no, even if we had a doctor, who could possibly save a man who had been shot this many times in the chest? When I looked into the room he must have crawled out of, I saw two more blood-stained Japanese corpses. There. I fell backwards pathetically on my butt, my mouth hanging open in shock. Come to think of it, that was the first time I had ever faced death in my life. The entire world was at war. Even though millions were dying both east and west, this was the first time I'd met with a person's death directly. Ridiculous. Didn't I join the army hoping to die? Didn't I whine about not being sent to the front lines? Yeah, so rejoice, Kinzo. Isn't this the death you were looking for? Why not spread your hands and yell out loud? Come for me, magnificent death. Someone came running towards me. It was a colleague of mine, a Japanese man. Tajima-kun.
Run!
He dashed towards me, pale-faced and out of breath. His face seemed horribly contorted with terror. Mine probably looked the same. Tajima-kun, what happened?
Run away. We'll all be killed.
Someone yelled in Italian, and at the same time, Tajima-kun let out a scream. Then he grabbed onto me as he fell to the floor. A red stain was spreading across his back before my eyes. Tajima-kun!
Run.
As he spat bubbles of blood, he said that one word and died. But as the shock of seeing someone die right in front of me did not freeze my heart. At a fundamental level, all living things are unconcerned with the deaths of others. The one thing that matters is whether or not they themselves die or not. It was the barrel of the gun the Italian soldier was pointing that froze my heart. Tajima-kun's back burst once more as he leaned against me. Flesh tore, blood splattered. The warm splash of it covered my face. Was the Italian still trying to finish him off, even though he had stopped moving for good? How foolish I've been. Can I still not understand the scene in front of me? Rejoice, Kinzo! Now you'll finally get what you've wanted all this time. The Italian hadn't fired to finish off Tajima-kun. He had been aiming at the man Tajima-kun had fallen on. Me, Ushiromiya Kinzo. Ah! I pushed his corpse aside, scrabbled against the floor, and dashed away, tumbling over myself. My hands pushed up against the floor, hard enough to tear off the ring finger of my fingernail in my left hand. When faced with death, humans truly can resist with all they've got. I tumbled over and over as I ran, scraping up parts of my body. It was painful and hot, but that didn't matter at all. I heard the yelling in Italian come from behind me over and over again. It felt like they were running, chasing after me. I didn't want to look back, so I kept on running and running until the Italians were right behind me. This is death. Didn't you want to die? No, I don't want to die. And why not? Didn't I want to die so badly? But now I know. And how wonderful it is to be alive. She taught me that. Bice did. I can only be free when I talk with her. No. By talking with her, I finally came alive for the first time. I was bored. I want to live. I want to live. I want to live. I want to live. I don't want to die. I want to live and see her right now. If I don't see her, I'll die. I'll be killed. Stay cool, Kinzo. She might be killed too. If you live and she dies, you might as well be dead. Before I knew it, my face was covered in tears, snot, and saliva. When I stumbled into something and fell, I was finally able to come to my senses a little. I could still hear intermittent gunfire. The gunfight was still going on, and it had spread throughout the entire base. Bice, are you okay? I'll find her and take her to a safe place. The lieutenant will probably kill all the Italians to steal the gold. Bice probably won't be an exception. Bice! I lived for the first time after meeting you. I was born. So if you die, I'll die again. I can feel every cell in my body being reborn, not as Ushiromiya Kinzo, but as a completely different Kinzo. Of course, I was terrified that I might really be shot if I went back. But I didn't want to die anymore. To truly die. So I was able to overcome my fear. Bice!
Rubens, what on earth is going on? What is all this?
It's funny how the techno doesn't help all the killing when it's just people shooting each other over a military conflict, huh?
Yup. There's no need for you to know. Just stay hidden there. Don't come out until one of your fellow countrymen calls for you.
I heard an Italian voice. He's over there.
Well, that's racist. I mean, even in context, I don't think we want to say that out loud. That's... I get it, but like, fuck, I don't want to say that.
Reuben stood with Beatrice behind his back and nearly shot the two men rushing at him with the two 9mm bullets from his Beretta M1934. That one's for all the gun enthusiasts out there. However, one of the 8mm bullets from their Type 94 semi-automatic pistols went straight into Reuben's chest. All three of the shooters were stuck in the chest and fell down in a heap.
No, Rubens.
Go up to the surface. You have to hide in the forest.
Rubens.
Oh, no, this isn't.
My, aren't we touched?
Good read. The next person to appear was the commanding officer of the Japanese soldiers, Yamamoto. The blast of the three guns had just sounded. Adding on Beatrice's screams, it was hardly surprising that he had noticed the encounter.
If it had to come to this anyway, we should have taken this woman as a hostage in the first place. Damn annoying, that's what they are.
Yamamoto spat. Beatrice used that moment to snatch up Reuben's gun.
Did we make a Umineko if Beatrice had a gun meme?
Who I
No,
I don't know.
If Natsuhi had a
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look at you, reaching to pick up a gun without missing a beat. Italian women sure are scary. Damn it, both of you screwed up.
He spat this last part at the 2 dying men who lay moaning at his feet. However, what had happened to them wasn't particularly surprising. It wasn't the first time it had happened either. In this tiny cramped tunnel, nearly everyone had met head-on. When both sides shot recklessly in such a situation, the result was 2 corpses. So whoever sensed another person and pulled the trigger quickest won. That was the only way to survive this battle without a bullet in your chest. Because of this, both Japanese and Italians had killed each other without hesitation. They sometimes even pulled the trigger on oncoming allies. In the midst of all this were several Japanese men who had stumbled into the fight, wondering what was going on. It didn't matter whether the other person was holding a gun or not. Everyone had reflexively pulled the trigger at the sight of anyone other than themselves, trying to stay alive. The entire base had been wrapped up in the slaughter. There was a fierce gun battle taking place on the submarine dock, and a massacre resembling a hunt was taking place inside the base.
Well, that was cool.
Most of the non-combatants assigned to this base were killed before they knew what was going on. The Italians were indeed quite seasoned troops, but their numbers began to drop bit by bit. Blood-stained corpses were scattered everywhere. At first it had probably been a proper gunfight. However, as their minds began to go weary and numb, it evolved into that most basic cause of wars throughout humanity, the desire to kill all foreigners you don't understand. Whenever they heard words they didn't understand, they pulled the trigger. By that point, the screams of foreigners sounded no different from those of man-shaped beasts. After all, they couldn't understand the pleading in another language, so it had long ago turned into a mere massacre. As the number of dead surpassed the number of living, silence began to return to the base. Just when it felt as though everyone had died and you could hear the desolate sound of the wind blowing through the caves, there would be a sudden scream, the crisp sound of a gun, and you'd remember that the massacre wasn't yet over. This happened over and over again, and eventually true silence fell. It marked the pitiful end for those led astray by gold. Monster kill.
Oh no.
The leader of the Italian soldiers, Angelo, had managed to survive somehow. He encountered nothing but the corpses of friend and foe. All was quiet once more in the base. If he was careless enough to call out, he might be shot from the shadows somewhere, so he snuck about like a panther, breathing quietly and searching for remaining enemies. There was no sign or trace of any living person. Maybe all the people in this base had indeed died.
Oh, that's Angelo.
Damn Japanese.
The Japanese struck first, but at that time we were also talking about... Oh, this is him.
The Japanese struck first, but at that time we were also talking about killing them. They simply made the first move as military men, so perhaps we should be grateful for this day. Even if the boat had come to pick us up, there would have been no honor left for us. We would have been mere failures in our mission, unfit to face our dead comrades. Perhaps dying here in the Far East alongside my gun is a more fitting end for a soldier. I noticed the sound of shuffling feet coming from around the corner, and strange to hear. Is someone seriously wounded and dragging their feet? Noticing them before they notice me greatly helps my chances. At this stage, there's no point in taking prisoners. We must dispose of all the Japanese. I'll dash around this corner, quickly check to see who they are, and shoot if it's a Japanese person. Nothing more. I've been hiding my footsteps the whole time. They probably don't know I'm here. Once the shuffling footsteps had come close enough, Angelo leaned around the corner and raised his gun. The voice that reached him spoke Italian. Run. You.
I bet this is yeah.
I've been looking for you, Lieutenant Angelo. That makes all of you. I've been counting Italian corpses, you see.
Lieutenant Angelo, are you okay?
Blood poured from Angelo's chest. His gun fell to the floor, then his knees, and then the rest of his body crumpled and stopped moving. Yamamoto's accuracy with a gun wasn't particularly stellar. However, Angelo had waited until they were fairly close before jumping out, so Yamamoto had made the shot. He had managed to hit even with a short-barreled handgun in one hand, and a woman was a hostage in the other.
Really, though, our Rokkenjima garrison was pathetic. Am I the only one who's not dead? Crap. All of them.
Can't you fight without using a woman as a shield, you brute? Let go.
Quiet. Noisy, these Italian girls. If you'd just be cooperative, I'd at least spare your life.
It was such an obvious lie that even he wore a bitter smile. The Italians were spies working for the enemy, and they all died along with the garrison in a gunfight. If this was the story Yamamoto wanted to tell, he couldn't afford to have any Italian survivors. Pretty macabre when you put the same kind of storytelling lens in that mirror, huh?
Yep.
It's not everyone who lives gets to decide on what the story is. It's you get to decide the story of what the story is if you're the only one who survives.
Mm-hmm.
By this point, he wouldn't be able to keep the entire pile of gold, but he should be able to grab as many as he could carry. Even that would be worth a huge amount of money. Beatrice suddenly swung her head, smashing Yamamoto's nose hard. Oh, wow. Beatrice with a headbutt. Fuck yeah.
Someone help! Someone! Ah!
You. Ugh.
She almost managed to escape. However, Yamamoto quickly grabbed her leg and tripped her. She fell onto her back, and Yamamoto mercilessly stomped his foot down on her stomach and pointed his gun at her.
I don't make a hobby of taming tomboys. Die!
Lieutenant Yamamoto! She had nothing to do with this. Let go of her! Kinzo had jumped up for the shot. Oh, that's me. Hello. He was holding a gun and he had stolen from one of the corpses.
Huh? Ushiromi? Oh, so you're alive.
Let go, you're hurting her!
That was you, wasn't it? You tipped the Italians off.
What are you talking about? Yamamoto didn't know that the grenade had been a dud. He had been sure that the surprise attack would work, but it hadn't, so he'd assumed that Kinzo must have tipped them off. Interesting. So there is interesting that we talked about how there wasn't any suggestion of like that major ordnance they had been talking about left over on the island. However, there's an example of at least one piece of ordnance that was left undifused on the island, right?
Yeah.
Potentially that grenade could go off whenever.
Yeah.
So that might be probably not just a single grenade, but something similar to that might be the genesis of the explosion.
It's your fault the surprise attack failed and we're stuck like this. You turncoat, you traitor to your country. I know you've been working with them through this woman.
Can't you see that you caused all this because you were blinded by gold?
Run, Kinzo. This man has shot people begging for their lives. He'll shoot you too.
Don't talk, Italian. If you open your mouth again, I won't hesitate to shoot.
It hurts. Ugh.
Yamamoto ground his heel into Beatrice's gut. Stop! She has nothing to do with this!
Uh-huh. Are you pointing a gun at a superior officer? Stop and think of it, fool. If we agree to keep to the same story, we can have that pile of gold all to ourselves, okay? I could only grab a few on my own, but if we work together, we'll be able to sneak off with even more. I don't mean this as your superior officer. Let's split it equally between us, as men.
The last time you offered to split the gold 50-50, you tried to slit their throats!
Ushiromi, looks like you prefer lead to gold.
That's actually a pretty badass... Without any hesitation, Yamamoto raised the barrel of his gun towards Kinzo and pulled the trigger. It grazed Kinzo's right ear. If Yamamoto's aim had been just a bit better, the bullet would have slammed into Kinzo's face.
Kinzo, how could you?
Not letting Yamamoto's momentary distraction go to waste, Beatrice lashed out and planted her right foot in Yamamoto's crotch. Demonic pain and demonic expression flashed across Yamamoto's face, and he stomped on her chest. Bice!
You bitch! Die!
Beatrice shut her eyes tightly, hoping that she could withstand the coming pain. No one wants to watch the moment they get shot.
You.
A blood splash poured out of Yamamoto's chest. Just as you took so many lives for your own personal reasons, I'll take your life for mine. Could Yamamoto hear Kinzo's words until the end? In his last moments he seemed to grin. Then slowly, he fell backwards with a spurt of blood. Yeah, that seems about right.
So, weird first date.
Right? Only the second worst I've had, though. With a much lower body count, it turns out.
Kinzo, are you okay?
First date? Hindenburg.
I was sure you'd been shot.
Beatrice tried to stand up, but then doubled over and started coughing. Bice, are you hurt?
My ribs are hurting. That brute really was stomping them hard.
Will you be okay? I hope they aren't broken.
Italian women don't break so easily. But thanks. I owe you my life. If you hadn't come, it would all have ended there.
Yamamoto had shown no mercy. Her ribs were probably cracked. We didn't have the option of waiting, possibly for several days, for the ship that was coming. I made the decision to carry her away from the island. The man who kept yelling about preserving the secrecy of the base is lying there, dead. The next island over, Najima, is close. A small boat should be more than enough for us to get there. I need to take you to a hospital. The wound might be more serious than you realize.
That's interesting. I never knew there was a hospital on this island.
There isn't. A boat should get us to the next island over. We'll get you to a hospital from there. As for me, unless I cleverly cover up what happened on this island, I might end up being court-martialed just for being here.
I have a request. Please, don't take me to a hospital.
But why?
If we go to a hospital and the embassy is contacted, I'll eventually be sent back to Italy. If that happens, I'll be interrogated about all kinds of things. I won't acknowledge the bastards who let Mama die.
Sounds like there's a story there, but unfortunately for you, that's kind of like 72nd on our list of priorities right now, so...
There's no homeland for me to return to now. This is the end for me. So there's nowhere I want to go anymore. Lieutenant Angelo, Rubens, everyone who was so kind to me, they're all dead.
And because of that, you want to die here too? I thought you said Italian women weren't weak. Live.
Hey, Kinzo, what does it mean to live? You're the one who taught me, aren't you? Living is more than just breathing. I don't want to go back to Italy.
Bice.
You said that you were dead until you met me. But it's the same for me. I died in that submarine. My homeland fell. Mama died. Even Papa died. I prayed that our sub would just sink to the bottom of the ocean. So, when we reached this place, I was actually disappointed that we'd survived. Then right after that, Lieutenant Angelo started asking whether anyone could speak English.
When Kinzo met Beatrice, he finally forgot about dying. And when Beatrice met Kinzo, she also forgot about dying.
Now that I've lost my homeland, my family, and my friends, my only wish is for you to kidnap me and take me away with you.
Bice.
But I know that's a wish that couldn't possibly come true. So, at the very least, I want to be with you until the boat comes for us. I don't care about the pain in my chest. After all, when the boat comes and takes me away, I'll die.
Beatrice spoke this, smiling softly. She did her best to hide the pain in her chest.
Please, Kinzo, just for the few days, until the boat comes, kidnap me.
That is a wish that I cannot grant. Looking apologetic, Kinzo lifted Beato up and gently sat her in the boat.
Coward. So Japanese men are weak after all.
You're right. I am a coward, so I can only grant you half of your wish. With a clunk, he placed it, wrapped in a jacket, in the boat.
What do you mean?
The part about until the boat comes for you, that's the part I cannot grant.
Huh? What do you mean?
Kidnapping you, that part I will do.
Kinzo?
There has to be a doctor in Najima. I'm wearing a Navy uniform. I should be able to pass myself off as a survivor of a boat carrying a VIP that was sunk by enemy ships. If the doctor happens to be of the greedy sort, all the better. After all, I have the right here, the golden magic, to make people do what I say. And a witch from a distant country took my lifeless body and gave me a soul. A woman came to me with the gold and revived me with her magic. You are a witch. The Golden Witch.
Yes, the Golden Witch. Even though I use the same recipe as everyone else, only my alchemy can turn pasta into a smoking black heap.
Oh, that's actually pretty good.
Just like you, I'm nothing but a corpse allowed to live just as long as you're with me. If you go, I'll die straight away.
What's funny is that they're also describing kind of what was used to keep Kinzo, quote unquote, alive after his passing. Right? He's only allowed to live as long as there are people there to insist on it.
Yeah.
Except in this case, we're looking at it with like the theater going power, right? So this
Yep.
feels very literal here. Well, not literal, but like they are actually there. And
Well, I won't let you die,
Really?
no matter what.
Take responsibility, okay? After all, you're the one kidnapping me.
the way that she phrased it specifically as kidnapping, I can see how that gets twisted into keeping Beatrice, the second Beatrice.
Oh,
locked
yeah.
up. Oh no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no.
Hey!
Oh, we all knew it was coming to this part.
Then, wait, it was you? You're the Nijima doctor who grandfather took Beatrice to see?
Why so shocked? Should have leapt to the mind ever since the words Nijima doctor, dude.
Professor, the soldier of the neighbor, a proud reform woman. Of course, I was a soldier. And then he actually told me the treasure room was confidential, since the presence was a military secret.
Was that the first time you met grandfather?
Yes, that was when we first met.
So you're the greedy doctor who followed orders for the sake of gold, huh? Oh.
Well, that's, I mean, it's kind of rude. You're not wrong, but, like, it's rude. So it was. He suddenly brought in a foreign woman patient, explained to me that this was a military secret, promised that he'd pay the medical fees later, and handed me a gold ingot as collateral. I didn't want to get involved with any funny business. I was reluctant to say this.
I see your point. But in the end, you did conceal Beatrice, didn't you?
I may not be as skilled as Kinzo, but I do have some familiarity with English. I'm going to overhear part of that conversation, and that was enough to convince me that they were not troublesome people. Of course, if I were to say that the ingot in a temporary, that would be a lie. I was much younger than you, sir. I didn't have the same jowls that I do now.
What if he just always did, though?
I was born with 2 large jowls.
He grew into them as he got older.
They say that the man makes the jowls, but really, it's the jowls that make the man.
Well, what happened to her next?
I took her for some time before Mr. from the Ocean Romeo family came and said that she would be moved to Ottawa. Then they took her away.
So grandfather didn't come to get her himself?
Regardless of how Kinzo explained away the incident on Rokkenjima, he probably wouldn't be able to move about freely for some time afterwards.
Oh, Professor. Kinzo said that the serving the military was the greatest challenge of his life.
So Beatrice went to Odawara, and then what?
I've heard that she hid in one of their unused villas. After all, Kinzo had a family at the time. It must have been tricky to manage.
So leading a double life was business as usual for Kinzo, even before Kuwadorian, huh? Whoosh!
What are you doing? Is your butt itching? And later on, Beatrice and grandfather continued their happy relationship in the Villa from then on?
I heard that it was a modest, peaceful life. Several years later, they had a child.
So Kuwadorian's Beatrice was born then, huh?
The first did not go well. It was truly a sad time.
You don't mean she died?
Don't be surprised. Kinzo believed his daughter was Beatrice reborn. You can't neglect the heart. It's possible to reason it out.
You're right. My apologies.
I don't know how many years Kinzo spent with her in Ottawa, but however, judging by the Kinzo sound we good to know afterwards, one could tell how deeply he loved her, even if they only had a few years together.
Right, so they're saying that the original Beatrice died
Yeah.
in childbirth. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. That explains that.
I see.
And then he made Kuwadorian for his daughter.
Kinzo sound cleverly made use of the submarine's gold to build up a fortune benefit. I've already made use of his considerable skills in English to make connections with a diverse crew, becoming immensely wealthy in a short span of time. It's ready to explain this part to you, Larson.
Wait, who's talking now?
It's Leon now.
Okay.
What, could you not could you not pick up who I said it pretty clearly at the end there.
Yes. He used that vast wealth, bought Rokkenjima, and built the mansion. The remaining relatives in Odawara scoffed at grandfather, thinking he was crazy to buy an entire deserted island.
If you could carry 10 tons of gold around in your pocket, Kinzo probably wouldn't have bought Rokkenjima.
He hid the gold somewhere in Rokkenjima, built up a fortune with the ingots he'd taken out of it, and then bought up the whole treasure island.
Exactly. And that started the legend of the Ocean gold.
What about the mark of the one-winged eagle that was supposedly pressed into the ingots?
The one-winged eagle, or precisely an eagle of which only one wing is visible.
What do you mean?
You see it often in Europe, do you not? A crest or a coat of arms with an eagle spreading its wings on it. The flag of the Salo Republic also had an eagle, or was it a hawk? At any rate, it had become some type of bird that emblazoned on it.
So the imprint was made too lightly, or else it was poorly done?
Correct. They used a rough, wartime press. It was probably supposed to look like the crest of an eagle spreading its wings. It was pressed in at a slight slant, so half of it was too light to see.
So half of the eagle spreading its wings disappeared, making it look like a one-winged eagle?
Kinzo thought the seal on the gold of Beatrice, the woman who had changed his fate, looked like a one-winged eagle. That's why he decided to make that his own crest.
If the imprint had been made correctly, it would have been the eagle of the Salo Republic's flag. Or it could have been the two-headed, of course not. Passing the night away with Kinzo-san in front of that massive pile of gold, drinking and wondering, was truly an enjoyable experience. However, Kinzo-san didn't want the people using that gold to using that shield to figure out where the gold had come from. The gold he took outside was all repressed with the one-winged eagle design he had created.
And all he did was show you the gold? What a cheapskate.
Of course, after I became immensely rich, Kinzo-san came to me once more, saying that he paid me in full for the overdue medical expenses. The amount he came with was a bit much for medical fees, though I did make sure to give him his turn.
And you've been friends ever since?
Yep.
You've been besties ever since?
We're besties, as I say.
Wow.
Kind of like you and Wolfson over there.
Oh, did you hear that?
What?
We're besties for resties, Leon. Yeah.
That was a rather quick promotion.
Fist bump, bro. But am I wrong, though? But I'm not wrong, right? Right? Right?
We'll see.
Yeah, Will. It's me.
Oh, hold on.
Kinzo-san was extremely grateful to me for keeping a secret to Kinzo and Beatrice.
Grandfather always said that the old relatives in Odawara were a bunch of greedy liars. I'm sure he appreciated your strong sense of duty, Dr. Nancho. I think I understand why a person like Grandfather came to trust you.
I also had some interest in foreign countries, as well as a hobby of playing chess. Kinzo-san and I have gotten along well ever since. It was a friendship that built up gradually, but grew strong before we knew it. We've been friends for a very, very long time.
This is Leon again.
People who deal with large amounts of money tend to be quite mindful of small amounts as well. When you refuse to accept anything more than the medical fees, that must have earned you his admiration.
Ridiculous. I was just frightened by the large quantity of the money. I began to regret it later. Seems I never had real guts.
No need to worry there, bruh. Guts are the one thing you got no shortage of.
I think so. Well, I appreciate the flattery.
That wasn't flattery.
Huh?
Wow, rude.
For at least one whole year after Kinzo's death, Nanjo had taken part in hiding the secret of that death. Of course, Natsuhi must have given him some hush money. Still, there could be no doubt that he'd had enough guts to withstand pressure from Kinzo's children for a long time without slipping up once.
That's something that'd take real guts. That sense of duty must be part of your personality, dude.
Perhaps that is my only redeeming quality.
I think Grandfather was blessed with a good friend.
Yeah, just wait till we get to the cover-ups, kid. don't put me into good calm just yet.
Let's do another one.
Yeah.
Dude, these are all like really nice and short. Let's get another one in here.
Poor Bice.
So, now that she's had her child, can we name this episode Son of a Bice?
Yeah.
I've been waiting for that one.
Yeah, we really can. I think I've learned just how much the woman called Beatrice influenced grandfather's life.
We haven't learned anything, though. I mean, despite all of this elucidation, we still haven't really learned anything. I think the parts with, like, specifically how, like, how Beatrice came into his life and stuff, that was illuminating.
Mm-hmm.
But presumably it's stuff we could have figured out. Like, I remember distinctly there were scenes where they showed the submarine, for example. And I remember thinking at the time, like, what the fuck do we even make of that? Like, that's all stuff that could have been extrapolated from. But he's right. We haven't learned anything yet. We haven't learned anything, bro. Who killed Beatrice? Once we figure that out, we'll never be able to get out of here.
You're right. We need to finish this quickly. The funeral is already over after all.
Oh, you got it all wrong, kid. This is the funeral.
You mean what she's making us do?
All the Beatrices we've heard about so far weren't killed at all. We're trying to understand where the word killed factors in. That's the real funeral as far as Burncastle is concerned.
No one knows about her being killed.
Speaking of that, you want to go to Burncastle after this? It's like White Castle, but instead they just say mean things to you. And then they like spit in your burger.
That sounds kind of awful.
Yeah, so you want in on this?
Maybe.
Right? You didn't know you wanted it until I explained it. Now you're like, huh.
I kind of don't, but I don't have a more constructive suggestion either.
That's how they get you.
And that's the truth we're trying to expose?
You're pretty sharp, aren't you? Hardly feels like I'm talking to a piece from the lower plane. So this is why I was giving you as my Watson. Oh, come on, dude.
Don't call your partner a piece.
All right, but then we're going back to bro, all right, bro, Seth?
Okay.
Bro-tato chip?
So, what next, Willard Holmes?
Step 1 of holding an investigation is questioning witnesses, of course. There's still a Beatrice we needed to ask about. To indicate whom they should talk to next, Will nodded in the direction of George, Jessica, and Maria. Maria seemed to be lecturing the others about something.
Wow, Beatrice sounds pretty incredible.
Yeah. And then inside an upside-down cup, she made tons of candies appear out of nowhere.
Inside the overturned cup? Amazing! Sounds like magic to me. Maria-chan really does love witches and magic.
We could hardly avoid consulting our local authority on witches. When looking for someone to ask about Beatrice, Maria rose to the top of the list. The Beatrice she spoke of wasn't the real Beatrice, the one Kinzo and the others had talked about. However, here and now on the Rokkenjima of 1986, the name Beatrice probably refers to the person Maria's always talking about. I don't see Battler anywhere. He's kind of like me, but less cool. Ushiromiya Battler, the one who was forced to fight as Beatrice's opponent in many games, and the most important person in this game and this tale. A battler in this world would probably be the peace version, but even so, it should be possible to get some vital information out of him. Will probably wanted to talk to Battler too, but he was nowhere to be seen in the cousins group.
Battler-kun did not attend this funeral. It's a shame, seeing as he's the cousin closest in age to me.
Are you two on good terms, though?
Yes, of course.
And you pinch his butt every time he says something perverted, right?
Oh, how did you know? Did your detective instincts tell you that?
Yeah, I picked it up somewhere. Poor guy. Burncastle said that everything we needed was gathered here. Since Battler isn't here, that probably means it's possible to find out everything without asking for his side of the story. Or maybe she's intentionally hiding the core elements and making us take the long way around. It's part of some fickle witch's game. Well, since he isn't here, that probably means there's no need to hear his story for the time being. Let's talk to Maria and the others. I won't say anything perverted, so keep your hands off my ass.
Then why not try choosing your words a bit more carefully?
No. I don't think I will, though. With a roguish smile, Leon pinched the air, index finger against middle. That's very threatening coming from you. I need you to know that. Either that or you're playing me a song in the world's tiniest violin.
Ah, it's our successor, Sama. Are you two done babysitting the old geezer? Yeah.
At least Leon was impartial. No mercy, even for Jessica. Will felt a bit gratified. I see. Since you're the successor of Grouse's child, then Jessica's your little sister, huh? He was so used to Jessica being an only child that, though the scuffle between the two looked perfectly natural, something didn't feel quite right about it.
Jessica, can't you talk a bit more like a little sister's supposed to? And while we're at it, why not try talking more like a girl your age? How many times do I have to tell you to stop calling me Successor-sama? Shut up, I'll live the way I want to. I'd suffocate if I had to act all refined like you, Successor-sama. Ah! Ow, ow. Stop it, don't pinch me. This is little sister abuse. Pervert, stop it. Ow.
Leon, kid, I don't know how to tell you this, but your little sister's into Toho.
I don't think that's been invented yet.
Yeah, makes it weirder, doesn't it?
Jessica, why are you talking like that in front of a guest? Do you want Mother to scold you again?
Looks like those two are close in their own special way.
Well, Leon is an excellent person to be the successor without any faults. I guess I understand how Jessica-chan feels. Leon might be a little bit too perfect sometimes.
She gets compared to Leon no matter what she does, and that made her rebel?
If Jessica-chan had been born an only child, I'm sure she would have become a composed, quiet young lady.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure, bro. That's exactly what would have happened. No doubt about it, my dude. You're a funny guy, you know that?
That's an interesting thought.
Well, don't worry. That wouldn't be enough to change her personality.
George, Oni-chan, who's this person?
This is the first time we've met, right? But you seem to know a lot about our family. I'm George, and this here is Maria. Pleased to meet you.
Yo, call me Will. I'm investigating Beatrice. Please tell me what you know.
The brief moment of...
That brief moment of,
What's going on with her?
oh, don't worry about it. She's just been activated.
How long does this usually take to...
Long enough.
Beatrice. See, Beatrice exists.
The Maria had looked hostile towards this unfamiliar man. As soon as she heard the name of the witch she loved pass his lips, her eyes began to sparkle.
Hey, Maria-chan, you've got to greet our guest properly.
Hello, my name is Ushiromi Maria. I'm glad to meet someone who knows Beatrice. Handshake, handshake.
Maria suddenly stuck out her small hand, and Will reached out for it reflexively. As soon as he did, he felt a bright light seeping out from the gap between their hands. The theater-going power that Berncastle had given him had affected Maria.
Beatrice is a witch of Rokkenjima. She plays with me every time I come here. She's my best friend and a fellow member of Mariage Sorcière.
The light grew brighter and brighter, and this time he could feel himself being drawn into Maria's world.
I'm Ushiromi Maria. My mama is Rosa. My papa, I don't have a papa. I think I remember Mama showing me a picture ago and saying, "This is your papa." It was a picture of a man with a dark suntan on a beach wearing a swimsuit. Later on, when I learned what papa meant, I asked Mama to show me that picture again, but she said it didn't exist. But it had to have existed, right? When I drew a picture of it and showed it to Mama, she got really mad and said it didn't exist, or that if it did, she had already thrown it away. Ever since then, she kept saying that I don't have a papa. Did you know? People say you need a papa and a mama to have a baby, but that's a lie.
Oh, virgin birth, is it?
Behold, a virgin shall be with child, and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel. If I was a boy, that might have been my name.
Book of Matthew, chapter 1, verse 20.
No, it's verse 23. Verse 20 is, "But while he thought on these things, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a dream, saying, Joseph, thou art thou son of David, fear not to take unto thee Mary thy wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Ghost."
So your father's the Holy Ghost then, huh? You're Jesus, is that it? That's what we're coming to. The short witch kid is Beatrice. Is Jesus. Jesus. We'll get there.
Everyone said that everyone has a papa. They said it was strange to not have a papa, and that I was a weird, pitiful child. But when I asked Mama, she said I didn't have a papa, and that he didn't exist. She got mad and hit me even though all I did was ask him, so I don't really understand who gave birth to me. I was an immature and misplaced creature, and not a proper human. I realized I was a strange and pitiful girl, different from everyone else.
Relatable.
Yeah, very relatable. Doesn't matter who your parents are or what other people say. You are who you are.
Must have been hard to teach that to a young, immature kid. My kindergarten teacher might have said that to me when I cried after being bullied, but even those words of encouragement couldn't fill the blank space. The questions, those words couldn't answer the questions in my mind.
And the book is what gave you the answers?
A priest came to see me!
Oh, all right. Let's stop that sentence. It was probably part of some lesson to enrich the minds of children through an edifying tale. To most of the children, it was just an ordinary fairy tale they might have heard from one of their teachers. Actually, I think we were just bored because it was too hard to grasp. And then at the end, the priest said something important. That guy knows everything?
Yep. So I asked him. I only have a mama. I don't have a papa. Mama gave birth to me without a papa. Was that a strange, sad thing? I asked him.
The priest taught me. There's nothing strange about a child having no papa. After all, Jesus Christ was born of a virgin. And the one who gave birth to him was the Virgin Maria. I'm not doing the narration in her voice. It's tiring.
Fair enough.
I was surprised. Maria, the name I was given, had been showing me the answer all along.
I was so shocked, I asked the priest to say it again. He said the Virgin Maria gave birth to a baby by herself. So I asked him if that meant I could give birth to a baby all by myself, too.
And, how did he answer? I feel like I should have someone else in the room for this conversation. How did he answer that?
He said the Virgin Maria was with the child because of the Holy Ghost. The second part of the book of Matthew chapter 1, verse 20. For that which is conceived in her is the Holy Ghost. Of the Holy Ghost. That surprised me again. What do you think that means?
You interpreted this to mean that Ushuromya Maria had no human father, right? Your real father was the Holy Ghost? Regardless of the Bible's original meaning, this young, sad girl whose lack of a father had caused her to lose her sense of identity had finally created a way to understand herself.
Once I realized that, I knew I was different from all the other kids. The ones who made fun of me were all children of Joseph, but I alone was different. I wasn't worse than everyone else. I was a child of God, a child of the Holy Ghost. When I got back, I told Mama. I had no papa. Mama gave birth to me thanks to the power of God.
It was probably painful for Rosa when Maria asked about her father. Why did Maria have no papa when everyone else had a papa and a mama? Every time she asked this, Rosa flew into a rage and changed the subject. And then for some reason, all on her own, Maria had found an answer that satisfied her. She had no papa. She was the child of Mama and God. It isn't too difficult to imagine that Rosa, after hearing this young girl's explanation, might go along with it as though it were true.
Beato said that the minimum number of people needed to create a world is 2. I thought she meant that you needed 2 parents to create a child. That's when I thought of it. Beato may be a witch, but she is a witch born of a human. Beato isn't a child of the Holy Ghost, but I am different. I was born from Mama alone. I was born of the Holy Ghost. Beato can't create a universe without me. But God is always by your side, right? I can make a universe all by myself, along with the Holy Ghost. Beato called me the Witch of Origins, and she also said that eventually I might become a creator who can create anything alone. All by myself, I can create something out of nothing. Beato could take that and extend it into infinity. Angie was the witch's apostle, who would spread word far and wide.
Why isn't Angie with them at the funeral, too?
Yeah, huh?
Are we gonna get to see, 6-year-old Angie? Please tell me we get a spray artwork of, tiny Angie. Just once, I need to see tiny Angie. Tangy. And that was Mariage Sorcière, right?
There's a huge difference between 1 and infinity. That's why Beato is so great. However, compared to the difference between existence and non-existence, 1 and infinity are nearly the same thing. I am the child destined to become the best witch. No, the greatest creator in the world.
I really like this right here.
Compared to the difference between existence and non-existence, 1 and infinity are nearly the same thing. You can multiply things to 1 forever and never get any closer to infinity. You can multiply things to 0 as much as you want and never get closer to 1. Like, mathematically, that's very satisfying.
And this is why the interval between 0 and 1 contains a larger number of real numbers than the number of natural numbers between 1 and infinity.
Yeah, you can prove that if you want to.
Yeah.
Yep.
It just works.
Yep. It just
0 and 1 are farther apart.
it's facts. They're factual. No notes.
Mariage Sorcière was the nest to prepare me for that. I am Ushiromiya Maria. Maria, who stands by God's side.
If we liken Maria's sense of identity to a universe, then this endless stream of words coming from her might be like the Big Bang. She spent so long tormented over how to interpret her lack of a father. And then by chance she saw a line in the Bible that looked like it secretly referred to her, and she finally formed an understanding for herself. The sad girl who had hated herself for being different from all her classmates finally found a meaning for her existence. And at that moment, Maria's universe, which had once been nothingness, was born as a clump of ultra-hot, ultra-high-pressured energy. And then later on, she went to Rokkenjima, met the endless witch who called herself Beatrice, and the clump of energy exploded in a big bang, giving birth to their magical compendium. That was the universe known as Mariage Sorcière.
We're jumping about a bit too fast. Let's take things one at a time, okay?
Sure. Where do you want to start?
After you decided that you were the child of the Holy Ghost, it's easy to imagine that you gradually became more and more interested in the occult. And then what? Once you reached that state, where did you meet Beatrice, and how did the two of you interact?
It really did happen all of a sudden one day. I wanted to meet the witch called Beatrice who lived on Rokkenjima. I wanted to meet her as a fellow witch.
At that time, you already knew you were a witch?
I did. Even though when it came to the Bible and the occult, I already knew as much as an adult. So even though I couldn't use magic, I believed that I was a witch. It's a bit funny, isn't it? That's why I was only a witch apprentice.
When did you meet Beatrice?
I don't really remember when, but I do remember what it was like. It was really, really sudden. Yeah?
So, you are Ushiromiya Maria, I presume?
It was so...
Oh, I'm not going to do her voice for that. It's so very sudden. I was just drinking some milk tea all alone in the Rose Garden Arbor. Mama said she had to talk about something important with Uncle Kraus, so she told me to go outside and play. And because this is the theater-going power here, she literally looks like this.
Yeah. Probably.
Suddenly, she was sitting right there. I didn't know anyone who spoke that way. I quickly realized that she was someone I didn't know at all.
Who are you?
You're the one who wanted us to meet. Here I am, welcoming the witch who came to visit my island, and yet you ask my name?
Beatrice?
Precisely. I am Beatrice.
Yeah, that is pretty sudden, actually.
Yep, really sudden. There are witches and spirits right next to us all the time. They just choose not to show themselves. And when they do show themselves, it's always sudden, as though they've been there the whole time. That's what I learned that day.
And then you and Beatrice became friends, huh?
Yeah. She stayed in shadow with me the whole time until Mama was done with her work. We talked about magic and about witches, about how I was a child of the Holy Ghost.
And what was your impression of Beatrice then?
I don't like saying it, but my knowledge at least was better than hers back then. At first I thought she wasn't a very good witch. Well, that was just me and my conceit. There are so many different kinds of magical compendiums. Plus mine was based on self-study. I probably only viewed Beato that way because her magical compendium was different from mine. It wasn't long before I came to regret that and apologized.
So basically, whoever was playing Beatrice for her didn't know shit about magic, and then was like, oh shit, the next time I gotta rifle through all Kinzo's shit real fast. I see.
Apologized? Did Beatrice do something to win your respect? I see. So she showed you magic, huh? We moved to the beach and talked lots, sitting at a table under an umbrella.
Very interesting. Maria, I see you have been quite diligent in your studies. At your age, to be capable of teaching a 1,000-year-old witch such as myself is truly an accomplishment worthy of admiration. So, what sort of magic can you use?
Magic?
If you call yourself a witch, you must be able to show me some sort of magic, correct?
I was stunned for a second. Of course, it should have been obvious. I was a child of the Holy Ghost, and since I'd studied so much of the occult, I was also a witch and not a human. Until that day, I had been so sure of both of those things. So when I was asked what sort of magic I could use, it left me in a daze.
When one knows of magic and can speak of it, they finally reach the rank of apprentice. One is only a witch if they can put such knowledge into practice and use magic, correct?
So I'm not a witch yet?
You have studied well, and I can sense a very rare talent within you. One day, you may become a witch so great that even I could not compare. Or perhaps even a creator, as you have told me. However, you are still young and immature. You are an apprentice. A witch apprentice, you might call it.
So does that mean you can use magic, Beato?
Of course. I could not call myself a witch otherwise.
Incredible. Show me. I want to see your magic.
Until this day, Maria had never doubted the magic-themed idea that she was the child of the Holy Ghost. However, no one had ever proven to her that the occult phenomena actually existed. Maria could create a universe all by herself. However, she wanted to share it with a second person so that she could believe in it even more strongly.
Once, I could have drawn a rainbow in the sky, transformed it into 7 colors of candy, and eaten them at my leisure. However, my power has weakened so much that I cannot even preserve my form to my satisfaction.
You told me about that. You can't use your full power because of the shrine.
It will take quite some time before my power returns. At this moment, I cannot turn rainbows to candy. However, perhaps I can show you a bit of that power with some simpler magic.
That's such a clever way of... My power has not come restored, so I can only show you these cute little parlor tricks. Don't expect anything bigger out of me. But I promise, it's all going to come back to me someday. But for right now... Damn, that's clever.
I promise I'm a super powerful witch. It's just my magical powers in Canada.
What's Canada? I want to see your magic.
Very well. However, I must ask for your assistance. As I have already told you, no matter how pure your soul might be, all humans are tainted and filled with the toxin that resists magic.
Yeah, I remember. You told me about the anti-magic toxin. I wasn't in any of the books I've read, though. You must be really incredible and know so much.
So the anti-magic toxin is just something she came up with to tell Maria to help explain away why the magic might... It's... Okay, so... I've been following a podcast... I listen to a podcast a lot called Behind the Bastards. It's really great, and it's about, like, terrible people of history. One recurring genre of bastard on the show are grifters.
Yeah?
People who, like to set up things... people who do confidence tricks and stuff. And this is exactly the kind of setup you would do for that. And I'm like, I know it's like innocent, just to make a young kid happy, but fuck if I don't have alarm bells going off when you explain it like this.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
The Beatrice lifted up an empty teacup and then turned it around in front of Maria to show that there weren't any tricks or strings. Right, the magic to make candy appear inside an overturned cup.
How do you know? You're incredible, Will. You even know about witch magic.
It's the most basic sort of witch magic, after all. I like how Will is despite needing to hear what Maria has to say, is not going to be the one to shatter her.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell he's like being like, all right, I'm not going to, no.
a step too far for him, right? As long as it's not directly related to murder, he sees no reason to get himself involved there.
Yep.
Boo. It was just a normal cup without any tricks in it. I wanted to see true magic.
There was a thing Maria desired. To strengthen her belief that there was an occult side to her, she wanted to see the occult side outside herself as well. That is why she agreed to help Beatrice with her magic. She didn't want her own toxin to ruin her chance of learning the miracles of magic.
Good. Then try looking inside that cup.
Boo. There's candy. There's candy.
As a gift to mark my meeting with a new witch, and as a sign of our friendship, I offer this to you.
This was a true miracle of magic. For the first time, I felt shame and embarrassment at my conceit. I could feel that sense of omnipotence disappear, the idea that I was the child of the Holy Ghost and the most important and special person in the world. Instead of a child of the Holy Ghost who can't actually do anything, I'd rather be a witch who can use magic. Ushiromia Maria wants to become a witch, starting off as a witch apprentice. I was already fascinated by Beato.
I want to become a real witch too. I want to be your disciple.
How modest. You already have an abundance of talent and diligence. Also, though it may have been different when I was at my full power, I cannot take on a disciple in my current state.
Woo. So I can't become a witch's disciple.
Correct. You cannot become my disciple. However, you can become my friend.
You turned on the Maria mag. Oh no, she's probably touch starved, isn't she? Oh no.
that or deathly afraid of being touched because
One
of
of-
Rosa constantly abusing her.
One of the two. Oh no. Anyway. Zhup.
Really? You turned on the Maria magnet.
Indeed. From this point forth, we shall be friends. Let us continue to discuss the deep and profound world of witches.
Woo. Thank you, Beato. Can I eat this candy?
No, let that be a souvenir. Instead of eating it, keep it in that adorable bag of yours.
Okay. I'll eat it at home. Boo.
Maria, that candy was brought into being by magic. Therefore, it is fragile. If you deny my existence with that toxin of yours, it will melt and fade away.
Boo. No. I don't want Beato's present magic to disappear.
Then be sure that you do not forget your meeting with me. As long as you keep a little promise with me, I shall be here to greet you when you return to this island.
Woo. I'll keep it. What's the promise?
Well, to start, when you get home, wash your hands. Then, rinse out your mouth. You must not complain about this, for it is an important part of a witch apprentice's training.
What the fuck does that mean?
We'll see.
I'll do it. Every day when I come home, I'll wash my hands. I'll rinse out my own mouth. If I do that, will I see you again?
I promise it. If you keep your end of the promise, your body will be cleansed, and I will regain even more of my magical power. If that happens, I'll show you even more incredible magic the next time you come. Hey kid, wash your hands and brush your teeth. It'll make you magic.
Is it literally just here's some nice life advice?
Absolutely.
I'll keep my promise no matter what. I'll do it. I'll become your friend and a witch apprentice.
Your resolve is heartening, Ushiromia Maria. I hope you will grow to become a full witch and my close friend soon.
But I think that was the first time I met Beatrice.
Was that candy still there when you got home?
Yep. But I doubted a little, so it was all melty. I regretted almost doubting her. If I doubted her more, the candy would have disappeared completely. I almost lost the proof of the magical miracle that had happened before my eyes.
So it was chocolate.
Or anything that was meltable.
Yep. So a piece of candy that melted, huh?
I think it was more of a caramel than a normal candy. It's all lumpy, it's just starting to melt.
About what time of year did this happen?
I'm not too sure, but remember the milk tea had ice in it. Why does that matter?
So it was summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never mind. Did you tell Rosa about your meeting with Beatrice?
Yep. I told everyone about it at dinner that day. Uncle Kraus laughed at me. And then Mama, who was sitting next to me, got mad and told me to stop talking about it. Woo woo.
Next to you. By your family's ranking system, your seat shouldn't be next to Rosa's.
It wasn't at a family conference. It was just when Mama and I came to visit. There was only Uncle Kraus and family and Mama and me. There are few people, so we didn't sit in the same spots as family conference.
So that's important for some reason.
So were you right that the order of the seating is a thing that's going to matter? The understanding a thing?
I don't know why they would have gone to such lengths to explain it if that wasn't important to know. Yeah, and like for like why? Because if they had specific seats for that, then suddenly but whatever, not important.
And Rosa was still sitting in the seat next to you?
Yeah, why does that matter?
It doesn't. You ever met with Beatrice outside of Rokkenjima?
Boo. No, after all, Beto's body is fragile, so she can't go wherever she wants.
Why would Rosa be sitting next to her even? Why? I don't know. I don't understand why Will is harping on that.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, that's something that has escaped our grasp. I'm sure there's an importance to it since he harped on it so much. And a lot of the tiny details he's harped on at other points have been confirming things that we've suspected. So I think whatever he's alluding to here is something we've just missed.
I said I wouldn't mind letting her possess me, but she said she couldn't because she couldn't leave the island.
And after that, you've met her every time you came to Rokkenjima, right?
Yeah, became really good friends. The more I talked to Beto, the more I realized what an amazing witch she was. She showed me wonderful magic every time I saw her. And then she told me about a magical compendium that was different from mine, and we'll talk together about the mysteries of magic. I wanted to reach her level as soon as I could. I wanted to become the kind of witch Beto was.
Did you ever introduce Beatrice to your mother?
Yeah, nope. Said Mama's toxin was too strong, so they shouldn't meet each other yet. Almost all adults are no good when it comes to the toxin, because they're all tainted.
Was anyone other than you able to see Beatrice?
They couldn't at first. She said her magical power was weak, so her body would crumble if even a little bit of the toxin reached her. But she gathered magical power bit by bit, and she could eventually appear in front of other people who had small amounts of toxin.
And who was that?
There weren't many of them. Just a few of the servants.
So it was something the servants were doing specifically to...
Yep.
It wasn't just Shannon and Ken, it was something the servants had all gotten together to do. Or at least a subgroup of servants had gotten together to do. Specifically to make Maria happy. That's... fucked up. Actually.
Specifically?
All of the servants here today. But not Goto-san, I think.
So there were 4 of them. Genji, Shannon, Cannon, and Kumasawa then.
And Dr. Najo, too.
Apparently, they would sometimes come to visit Maria and Beatrice as witches' tea parties. Of course, they had only come by for minor things like bringing some more tea. However, they were certainly aware of Beatrice and even talked with her. That's interesting because then that means Shannon couldn't have been playing Beatrice.
Weird if true.
Yeah, well, I don't know what level of theater going power we're on here, but
yeah, I think
you're talking about Shannon and Cannon as separate people.
I think that can't be
right. I think what
because-
we're seeing is Maria's world and version of events.
Yeah.
Right?
Because if it wasn't any of those people, then it would have to be that one of the other Ushiromias
Right, and that's
was
just
Beatrice, and that I don't think
I
fits.
think maybe what it instead means is that they knew enough to be in on it and would act as though Beatrice was there with them.
Mm-hmm.
How did the servants react to Beatrice? She was a guest who shouldn't have existed after all. Weren't they surprised?
Of course not. After all, Beatrice is the other master of the mansion.
She said that the servants treated Beatrice as an honored guest. Sometimes they were permitted to witness new miracles of magic along with Maria.
So on the Rokkenjima of 1986, the ones who could actually meet with Beatrice were you, Nanjo, and the 4 servants excluding Gota. For a total of 6?
Yeah. Beatrice said she needed to store much more magical power before she could appear in front of anyone else.
So she intended to show herself in front of some more people at some time in the future.
Yep. That this day she made all the humans acknowledge her would be the day of her resurrection.
Okay.
Maria, the servants, and Nanjo had acknowledged her. She probably had appeared before new humans one by one, starting with those whose anti-magic toxin was weakest. Beatrice's game was to increase the number of humans who could recognize her until she could make everyone on the island acknowledge her. Of that, there can be no doubt. In that case, the last person Beatrice needed to appear in front of would be Battler, the one said to have the strongest anti-magical power. Does this mean Beatrice thought Battler would be the hardest to convince? Seems true that Battler was one of Beatrice's goals. However, if we go with that chessboard thinking Battler loves so much, Beatrice is trying to make people acknowledge her existence. Therefore, you might say that she is a character who can't exist unless people acknowledge her. Battler reached this idea himself as soon as the first game. Yeah, there's something different about the Beatrice of 1986. She's different from the Italian Beatrice or the Ecuadorian Beatrice, both of whom certainly did exist. The Beatrice of 1986, the one we're so familiar with in a mysterious way, yet who has no existence. What does it mean to kill this Beatrice who has no existence? The minimum number of people required to create a universe is 2. However, Maria said that even a single person could give birth to a universe. And yet Maria desired a second person. A second person to nurture the world she had given birth to alone. Because if it was born and not nurtured, it would die and disappear. Let's replace the word universe with Beatrice. The minimum number of people required to create Beatrice is 2. If Beatrice did not exist, it would first be required to create her. However, even a single person could give birth to her. And yet that single person desired a second person to acknowledge the Beatrice created by the first person. That meeting with the second person is the scene Maria has just described. The single person who created Beatrice looked for a second person to acknowledge Beatrice, and selected Maria. We don't need Furuto Erika's heartless reasoning to know that the teacup magic was a sleight of hand. Maria, believing in the story about the anti-magic toxin, would close her eyes whenever magic happened. Any sleight of hand would be possible while she had her eyes closed. The caramel Maria had been given as proof of her meeting with the witch had melted because a little because Maria had doubted. In a season where one was likely to put ice in their tea, it was only natural for caramel to left in a bag to melt. Ushiromiya Maria, the girl who's too trusting and will accept a story easily. Beatrice appeared first in front of this girl who had, in the language of witches, very little of the anti-magic toxin. The creation of Beatrice can be thought of as an egg being laid. When a single person creates her, it's a little more than a daydream. She's still inside the egg. And if only a second person acknowledges her, the shell will crack and she'll appear.
Crack the world's shell.
We're back to this. She'll only appear if a second person comes to warm the egg. When Maria acknowledged Beatrice, she finally hatched, and a chick was born. In that case, Mariage Sorcière, which nurtured Beatrice in her magical compendium, was like a nest. This is Beatrice, a woman with a dignified presence who calls herself the Witch of Rokkenjima and who claims to have lived 1,000 years. It sounds less like the chick Beato who appeared in the previous game and more like Beato the Elder. So did the meeting Maria just recounted mark the birth of Beato the Elder? The egg itself had already been created by the first person. Even between then and the meeting with Maria, it matured immensely inside its shell into a character with the dignified presence of 1,000 years. Then, when Maria acknowledged it, it hatched, and the Witch of Rokkenjima finally gained a form. Perhaps that moment marks the birth of Beatrice of 1986. The younger chick Beato was born out of love for Battler. Since that birth hadn't yet occurred at this point in time, the birth of Beato the Elder and the existence of Beatrice at this moment must have nothing to do with Battler. Are you enjoying this reasoning, Burncastle? If you are, let's at least have some applause from the spectators. Great, thanks a bunch.
Who's clapping?
Don't worry about it, bro.
Will, who's clapping?
I told you, it's the audience, bro.
Fucked up if true.
I told you not to worry about it, man.
I'm worried about it.
Okay, bro.
I wish for Beato to grant me a lot of things with magic. That's why I'm helping with her resurrection.
What was it that you wished for?
Lots and lots. Not telling.
So you wanted to protect your mama from the Black Witch, huh?
How do you know that? You're incredible. Woo woo woo.
And you're already sure you'll never be able to get that world back without a witch's help?
Yep. I love Mama. She's so nice. I want to be with her forever. For all eternity.
Now I'd like to hear about Mariage Sorcière.
You woo woo.
What's wrong?
Don't wanna.
Huh?
I'm thirsty, so I'm gonna go get something to drink. See you later, because I'm literally 9.
Whoop. Maria became suddenly formal, bowed her head, and left without waiting for a reply.
Magic the world, my final message.
It was
woo, 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 woo.
It was a very un-Maria-like thing to do. I see. So the Game Master has moved the piece, huh? Apparently she's telling me to ask about something different. At some point, Leona had started chatting with the other family members. So what do we take that to mean then? That Maria had gone around. Then who was the person playing Beatrice?
I still think Shannon. Sayo.
Yeah,
whoever.
I think that's got to be it. It's got to be the Sayo canon Leon.
Yeah, exactly.
That-
That's still what I think. They've made it very clear that showing us all of these people doesn't mean that all of those people simultaneously exist and are different humans.
Right,
So
right,
that's still what I'm going with until I get better reasoning not
Fair
to.
enough. At some point, Leona had started chatting with the other family members. Jessica seemed to be getting irritated at having her butt pinched so much, and George was trying to calm her down. Jessica and George. Guess I'll hear their stories next. Compared to Maria, the anti-magic toxin is very strong in these two. At least at the beginning of the other games, they didn't acknowledge Beatrice at all. Maria showed me the point of view of one who believes. Now to hear from those who don't. And we'll have to hear about that
Next time?
next time. All right, Leon, you want to try it?
Try what?
All right, so I'm going to say, I'm going to ramp you up, and then you're going to say next time, okay?
Okay.
All right, we'll find out more about that on...
Next time.
That's great, high five. You me are going to go places, kid.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.